Hi, I'm Gregor Paul from the Herald on Sunday, talking all things Benji Marshall with Wyn Gray from the Herald. Hello, Wyn.
Hello, mate.
Now then, I'm going to take a wild guess here, given what you've been writing so far. You're not necessarily enamoured by this idea of Benji Marshall coming to the Blues.
I don't mind Benji Marshall coming to the Blues at all, but I don't see him as the answer to their 5/8 issue. He may well be a backup to someone. He could be the trick cyclist peddling his wares in a secondary role, but from what I've seen of him in league at the moment, he's a very gifted player, but I just think of someone like Sonny Bill Williams, who took some time to work into his work in Super 15, and I think if Benji Marshall was asked to do that at first 5/8, he would have equal difficulties. So that's my only reservation. I wouldn't mind him as a backup. I'm sure he's got all the talent in the world and could be a fullback. Might even play in midfield somewhere.
Yeah.
Or as a second playmaker.
Yeah.
At times.
Well, isn't that the thing, though? I mean, I'm dubious. There's been a history of rugby league guys who've tried to come play number 10 at rugby union, and I don't think any of them have ever really been able to pull it off. Really. So would you take Benji and just say, we won't make our minds up about what position's the right one, we might try him in various roles and see how he goes?
If I was in the administration of the Blues and I could get Benji at a reasonable price, or one we felt the franchise was not overspending on, absolutely, because you know that he will bring some crowds through the gate.
Yep.
He'll be a marketing dream, I suppose. He will be able to attend functions, he'll draw the kids in, all those sort of things. And while that helps, the bottom line is you've got to win games in the Super 15. Now the Blues won 6 out of their schedule this year, a couple more than last year. They're on the improve. They've got to keep improving next year. Is Marshall going to deliver that? I don't think so, necessarily, as your 5/8. I think they need someone else.
So, reasonable price. I mean,
well, who knows what
pay?
budgets they have? That's more your sort of field. I mean, you could answer your own question, because I'm not into that financial market as much as you are. What do you think they want to pay him?
Well, I don't know what they want to pay.
Is there a salary cap on him?
Well, I mean, theoretically, they could pay up to 180,000 for him, and I'd be amazed if that gets him over here. That's
peanuts.
Kind of loose change for a guy like Benji, and he'll get heaps more elsewhere. The rugby union, by all accounts, aren't going to help a great deal because they don't see him as a player that they need or want. So back to the Blues saying, well, you've got up to 180. If you want to throw more at this guy, over to you. I mean, they could get out. I'm sure they've got the money now with a bit of private equity in there. They can make a decision on how much more they throw at him, but it will have an impact on the rest of their recruitment ability and what everyone else earns. So,
and if you were sitting, say he did come, and you were sitting in a room, and you're knowing that someone stumped up, say, 500k for Benji Marshall to come and play occasionally for the Blues. And you're sitting in the same room, you're actually playing 14 of their 16 games or whatever. How do you feel? And you're on 200 tops.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And we probably are looking at a number in that vicinity to interest him, I think.
And that a little bit of that would worry me, that the green-eyed monster would come out. And from what I have seen this year, the Blues have been able to bury a lot of that. They've had a squad where they've had a few of the older blokes who've helped out our very young, inexperienced selection, really.
Yeah.
And they've gelled together, as far as I can tell, well on and off the field.
I'd say so. Yeah.
I think if you introduce someone like Marshall, perhaps there might be room for a bit of rancour or a bit of dissension. I don't know.
Yeah. The other question I would have is, we know that they're talking to Bowden Barrett, and we understand that Bowden is giving this a lot of consideration. It seems to be a move that he's certainly thinking he might make it. I wonder what he's thinking reading about the prospect of Benji possibly coming here, whether that puts him off, how he sees his role if Benji Marshall comes, especially if they're tipping their own money into Benji. They're not going to tip it into him and then say sit on the bench while we pick Bowden every week, presumably.
For me, the Blues target should be Barrett, straight off. He's one of the top 3 rated 5/8s in the country. This has been the Blues' weakness since Carlos Spencer left the franchise. It's been a gaping, unbandaged hole, if you like, since he went. So here's a chance to actually get your claws into some bloke who can play this position, who's been recognised by the national selectors. He's got a lot of gifts. Could work outside Periwepu. Suddenly you're strengthening the core of the side. I'd be chasing him extremely hard. And I know that the coaching staff of the Blues at the moment are quite concerned about the perception in public that Barrett may be feeling that, oh, they're chasing Marshall ahead of me. I think that is a great worry. So someone, to my mind, from the Blues, instead of going to Sydney or whatever's being talked about, should be humming off down to Taranaki or wherever Bowden hides out, saying, listen, son, this is the situation.
Yeah.
We are after you. Forget what you read, see or hear in that scurrilous media.
Yeah.
You're our man. We want you. Let's do it.
That's good advice. I also think, and you tell me, what do they do with the other two, with Chris Noakes and Baden Kerr? I actually thought Baden Kerr played quite well on Saturday night, kicked well off both feet, ran the show, I'd say quite competently. And Chris Noakes has gone reasonably well all year. He maybe tailed off a little bit towards the end, but these are competent footballers who are worthy of places, I think. What do they do with those two?
They are very competent footballers, I think. Chris Noakes, for example, is a very analytical player. I think he's helped the backline enormously with his influence, his direction, all those things. The problem for Chris, I think, is that his punting game is not especially strong. It's not long in the modern game. And he is a small man. So therefore he gets lined up in defence. It's just
it's the way it is.
Way it is in the modern game. So he gets found out, as does Barrett and many others in the game in that position. Barrett is slightly bigger though. He's nearly a 6-footer.
He's a big unit.
Noakes is a much smaller man. Baden Kerr is a big, strong bloke. Lot younger, who looks to me as though he's got some potential. Now, for me, I would be certainly keeping him. And Chris Noakes, I think it's up to the Blues coaching staff and Chris to get together and decide where they're going to go next season. Perhaps there might be a deal that he could go to find a home in another franchise. I don't know, if Barrett was coming here. They're all ifs, aren't they? But I think they probably only need 2 5/8s, don't they? Concentrate on that.
I'd say so. Wynne, you've just made your application to coach the Blues, and it was very compelling. Thanks very much indeed.
I hear.
Thanks, mate.